You ever wake up thinking the biggest drama in your life is going to be whether you go with spray wax or a full detail? That was me on a Sunday that started so perfectly normal. You'd never guess it'd end up all over the internet or turn the whole block upside down. I'm talking golden California sun, the smell of fresh coffee and that glint off the hood of my Mustang, just gleaming out there in the driveway like it was waiting for me to come have church with it. Yeah, I know maybe I sound corny, but there's something sacred about keeping that car looking right, especially when it's the last thing that still connects you to your old man. The Mustang isn't just a car, it's a legacy, a piece of family history and pride, and every time I run that microfiber over the hood, I hear my dad's voice in my head teaching me to respect what you own, to know every bolt and belt by heart, to never be the kind of man who lets things fall apart just because the world's moving fast. For a while out there with the sun on my back and my reflection in that cherry red paint, it really felt like peace. But of course, peace in the suburbs is always just one phone call or neighbor away from coming apart at the seams. Cue Agnes. Every neighborhood's got an Agnes, and if you don't think yours does, congrats. You're probably the Agnes. This lady, floral sundress, giant, sunglasses, solar panels stacked on her roof. Tesla sitting smugly in her garage. She wasn't admiring the morning. No, she was on patrol behind her window, doing that neighborhood surveillance thing, probably with a mug of herbal tea and a checklist of threats to the environment. And my Mustang. In her mind, it might as well have been the Exxon Valdez, every rev, every whiff of exhaust, an act of environmental war. The way she looked at my car, you'd think I was out here setting baby seals on fire for fun. Now, I knew Agnes had a beef. She's written up notes for less, but that morning something must have snapped. I hear the slap of sandals on the asphalt and look up just in time to see her marching across the street, hat tilted like a general off to battle, her face pinched up with that special kind of rage only retirees and HOA board members can muster. She doesn't cross onto my driveway, mind you wouldn't want to get any fossil fuel on her Birkenstocks. She points all trembling fury at my Mustang and says, "You are still driving that gas-guzzling death machine." Like I'd somehow missed the morning memo about converting to electric. I tell her as calm as I can, "Agnes, it's my car, my driveway, my choice." But that just throws gasoline on the fire. She starts hollering about clean air, melting ice caps, the survival of the planet, her voice pitching so high the birds take off from the oak tree, probably for their own safety. I try to stand there arms crossed, not looking for a fight, but this lady is on a mission. She starts talking about how everyone else on the street has switched to a Tesla, how I'm raising the carbon footprint of the whole neighborhood by a full percentage point. And this is where it goes off the rails. She whips out her phone and dials 911. I'm standing there wondering if I'm being punked, but no, she's dead serious. "Yes? Hello? I need to report a public menace," she tells the dispatcher, her voice all quivering with manufactured fear. "There is a man in my neighborhood threatening us with a high-emission vehicle. I mean, you can't make this up." Now here's the part where being a black man in America hits you in the gut. I know this pattern: white lady calls the cops, tells a story, and things can go real bad real fast. So I do what my dad taught me: stay calm, be better. Don't give them a reason. But I also know these days the only thing better than the truth is video proof. So I quietly pull out my phone and start recording, documenting her whole performance. She's waving her arms, yelling about resisting progress and creating a hostile environment. And I'm just narrating in a low, even voice. It's Sunday morning. My neighbor is calling the police because I own a Mustang. Yeah, that happened. The cops show up, lights flashing, sirens blaring, making this sleepy street feel like a crime scene. 2 officers step out, one older and sharp-eyed, the other younger and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Agnes instantly transforms. She's clutching her chest, telling the officers I've been terrorizing the neighborhood with my acoustic assault. The older cop Thorne listens, but you can see in his face he's heard it all before. "Ma'am, what exactly has he been doing?" he asks. And Agnes goes into a full-blown monologue about emissions, engine revving, visual harassment. I'm not kidding. She actually says that. Now here's the twist. While Agnes is digging her own grave, I show the officers my video. The younger cop, Bull, whistles low, and Thorne just shakes his head. When they finish watching, Thorne looks at Agnes and says, "Ma'am, are you seriously wasting city resources because this man owns a Ford Mustang?" Agnes tries to double down, starts sputtering about intent and fossil fuel aggression, but the officers have had enough. "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a serious offense," Thorne says. "All patients gone. We could cite you right now." I think it's over, but as they turn to leave, Thorne gets a ping on his radio, a tip about utility theft just flagged for our street. The officers walk back to their car, check the onboard laptop, and suddenly their whole vibe changes. Turns out for months someone's been siphoning power from the public charging station across the street, thousands of kilowatt hours missing. The trail. A buried cable, thermal scans, drone footage, all of it leading straight to Agnes's supposedly zero-emissions garage. Yeah, you heard right. The eco-warrior's been powering her Tesla with stolen electricity the whole time. She's caught completely off guard, blames the gardener, claims it's a conspiracy, tries to drag me into it, but the officers aren't having it. Then Bull checks police records. Agnes has called in nuisance or suspicious person reports on every family of color on our street for months. The Hispanic family, the Asian caterer, the black couple 2 streets over. Every call, the same story. She's not just a concerned neighbor, she's a serial harasser hiding behind green talk. It gets darker when the officers get a warrant and search her house. They find a binder, Green Watch, with sections on each neighbor, photos, made-up complaints, racist comments scrawled next to their pictures. Out come the neighbors one by one, telling the same story. She's targeted them, harassed them, tried to drive them out. The HOA president, Mr. Henderson, admits they'd had complaints but just tried to keep the peace instead of dealing with her. "Your silence was complicity," one neighbor says, and you can feel the shame settle over the crowd. Finally, Thorne cuffs Agnes right there on her porch. Grand theft, false reports, possible hate crime charges pending. She's screaming all the way to the squad car, still convinced she's saving the planet. The block just stands there stunned. Me. I'm not gloating, just relieved. The video I posted goes viral, millions of views. People cheering, sharing their own stories, others attacking me, trolls and defenders of Agnes coming out of the woodwork. But the truth's out. In the city, the HOA, even the news gets involved. Policy changes happen. A new HOA board forms. Neighbors talk kids, play barbecue smoke, drifts across yards that used to be divided. Agnes's trial becomes a circus. Her lawyer tries to paint her as a victim, but the digital evidence, the binder, her forum posts, planning removal of neighbors, it's all too much. The jury finds her guilty, false reports, grand theft, hate crime enhancement. When she's led away, she hisses at me, "You've just made yourself a priority weed, like I'm the problem." But I know better. The problem's not one woman, it's the system that let her thrive. Months later, the cul-de-sac feels new kids laughing, engines revving, people waving, real community where secrets used to hide. My Mustang's still out front, gas for life on the plate. And every time I fire it up, it's not just about the car or the freedom. It's about surviving, about choosing to stay and help something better grow. I'll keep fighting the weeds quietly, stubbornly, in my own way. So now I gotta ask, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Is there ever a good reason to call 911 on a neighbor? When does protecting the community turn into hate? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it. And hey, if you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe for more wild stories, and tell me what kind of neighborhood do you want to build.